Welcome to Tag Along Discussion. I am your host, Bilal Khan, and today we have with us here Ismail from Ottawa, Canada, crossing the border. We have Ramjan from originally from Colorado, but currently living in Saudi, right? And then we have Hayat from London, UK. The discussion of today's topic is the idea of what are the rights of people, and this is within the context because at IlmSummit, one of the things that have been covered, two topics which we might cover are qawaid, but more specifically the idea of purifying one's soul, also known as tazkiyah or tawbah. Now, one of the questions was, and this is actually a question I've asked a lot, not here, but with other people, and people give me different answers. What are the rights of people? And I'm not talking just the rights of your brother or just the rights of your neighbor, but society as a Muslim community, because we're all from all kinds of places, Canada, which some people say it's not a different country. And you got folks from London, Saudi, so four different countries, U.S., Texas, which is some people consider to be a different country within the U.S. But anyway, the question then is, what are the rights of people?
So go ahead.
Yeah,
so that basically goes back to one of the basic qawaid of fiqh. That's the principles of fiqh.
Okay.
And Sheikh Saad Taslim taught us in the fiqh class that one of the major qawaid, like the essential principles in Islam, is that you don't harm anyone and you don't harm yourself in any way, shape, or form. And so what Sheikh Omar Suleiman did was he was talking about tazkiyah in his class, and he was talking about the types of harm that you could do to someone.
Okay.
And the main three types of harm that came up were harming someone's body, harming someone's money, and harming someone's honor.
Okay.
And so these three types of harm, if you commit them, they can be considered three of the major crimes in Islam.
Okay, so body, money, and honor. Okay, let's put that into context. What does that look like?
Well, one of the things that we talked about in the Omar Suleiman sessions was the fact that today in our societies, how we become more closed off, we tend to neglect our neighbors, and that's one of the points that he was trying to revive for us, was that how we as closed off individuals, we are no longer looking out for the honor, the wealth, and the respect of our neighbors, and that we tend to focus on ourselves. So if we can revive that, then we're going not just preventatively, but we're going out proactively to establish the rights of people around us.
So here's the thing about neighbors, right? I don't know, maybe it's different in Canada or the UK. Well, interesting thing about the UK is that the way that societies and cities were developed in the UK is very different from the way it is in the US. A lot of the development in the US was done especially like the US is the largest suburban nation in the entire world, and mainly due to zoning, right? They implemented zoning laws post-World War II, forcing the developments of these areas where people can stay by themselves. A home is a private place, but their connection is that coffee shops, malls, barbershops, work, right? But the thing is, the people that you meet at your local coffee shop aren't necessarily your neighbors. And that's why in America, I don't know if it's the same case in Canada, I would assume it is. I don't know if it's the same case in London, but the people you meet at your coffee shop or at the movie theater or at work are not your neighbors, right?
Yeah.
So then the question is, and traditionally in the past, because of the lack of these zoning issues in communities where, small town type of scenarios, the person you met locally would happen to be on your block. So instead of saying, hey, how's the weather? You could actually talk about each other's families and in good ways, in terms of connecting and see how you're doing and what you can do. But I guess the question that comes up is, what are some ideas that you think would be able to get past that, communal infrastructure?
Well, he mentioned something, the fact that, today, if you went up to your neighbor and you said something like, hey, I'm your neighbor, I would like to bring over a dinner or something like that, it become a weird transaction. It can become a weird situation where people are not used to it. So one of the things that he mentioned was do it by a step-by-step process. And I know that the definition of a neighbor is changing. It's not necessarily somebody who's living next to you. It could be that individual who lives across the city but tends to come to the same coffee shop or tends to go to the same library as you or whatever the situation is. So I think the thing would be to do it in a social aspect, do it in a way that's socially acceptable, in a way that's personable, and not in a way that's a little bit awkward where it's here's a dish of, like he mentioned, a dish of Arab sweets that you've never seen, and I'm your neighbor and I'm here for your service.
Would it make more sense? Yeah,
interestingly enough, you mentioned we don't really know who our neighbors are, and we don't know how to define what neighbors are. But we also talked about how customs are the basis of judgment. So we can use the modern day customs of the culture that we're living in to define who our neighbors are.
Okay.
So definitely in the UK, your neighbors are very much the people who live directly around you.
Okay.
So you can start from there. So the people who live to your left, to your right, people who live opposite you.
Sure.
Like if you live in like a suburban area, you might live on a cul-de-sac. So like the 4 or 5 houses around you, you can start on that level and then work forward.
Right. I mean, I guess if somebody moves into a community, it wouldn't be awkward for somebody to go knock on that door. It's like, hey, my name's Bilal. I'm your new neighbor.
That's awkward in the UK.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, so in the US,
Okay.
I've experienced that you could knock on your neighbor's door when they move in and like knock on the door, say, hello, welcome to the neighborhood, like, and introduce yourself.
Yeah.
In the UK, that's still quite awkward.
Oh,
And
that's
you're
interesting.
transgressing boundaries. So usually you need to meet your neighbors outside of their homes and not by knocking on their doors.
Okay, so I saw a movie which was Robert De Niro, The Family, where basically they're under the protection of the U.S. government. They put them in some foreign country. It wasn't the UK actually. It was some other European country. And the way that they were getting to know the neighbors were they're holding a barbecue where they invited everybody there. Well, would that be appropriate in the UK setting?
You'd have to know your neighbors before you could probably invite them to your home.
It
So
wasn't in the home. It was
yeah.
like in a park.
Even that,
Even
like
that,
it
okay.
depends. Like it really depends on your neighbors. So you need to find like for like people in the UK, it's probably easier to catch your neighbors like when they're both out. Like you've parked your car and they parked their car to wave, and then sort of initiate conversation outside of the home before you bring it inside the home.
Okay.
Because the culture of the people is different and the customs of the people are
Gotcha.
different.
So I guess the better question would be: how do you break the ice with the people that are around you?
It's just starting with small acts of kindness. The Prophet ﷺ told us that smiling in the face of your brother is charity, and we're all human beings, so just smiling can be a great icebreaker. You smile, you say hi, good morning, how are you? We see that all the time happening at IlmSummit. I mean, we're sharing the hotel with other people. It's not just us that are in the hotel.
Yeah.
It's a great way to initiate conversation. Just good morning while you're going up and down the elevator. Mention something about the weather. I mean, it's kind of cliche, but it works.
Gotcha.
And then you just
It's interesting to talk about the weather. It's like people appreciate talking about weather because it's something that impacts everyone, right? Question for you guys is, and leave it in the comments below, what have you found to be the best icebreakers when talking with people? Has it been the weather? Has it been just smiling? Or have you taken a totally different approach that has worked effectively? Share the wealth. And if you see us anywhere, because we got like 4 different countries right here. And so, again, this was Ismail from Ottawa. You had Marjan from Saudi, originally from Colorado. And you have Hayat from London, UK. You see us, don't be shy, say hi. Assalamu alaikum.